So Ron Thiessen, Northern Dynasty, I actually saw that project. Great guys. And at this price, I think that's a steal, to be honest with you. But let's get to my presentation here. I've been in the newsletter industry for 25 years. I know, wow. It's I don't know if that means I got a lot of experience or I'm getting old. But I've actually been in this business for my entire life. My late dad was a financial newsletter writer for 25 years. And I used to work at his company and get paid $5 an hour and stuff the envelopes and put postage on it and bring it to the post office and things like that, which is really cool. And you have to write on a typewriter. And the time it took you to get your idea from the time you were writing about it to the actual subscriber was like 2 weeks, right? So what a difference. And that was the 80s, a couple decades make, where Elon Musk could tweet, and in 5 minutes, he says, I have a deal or I have financing at $400 for Tesla, and he creates $7 billion in market value in about 10 minutes. So it is pretty crazy. But when I look at this industry and I look at my dad back then, 25 years ago, it was different. I mean, he was a great analyst. And I'm not saying that because he's my dad. I mean, I think everyone's like, my dad's the greatest. It's not one of the, it's, getting a little biased, but the Wall Street Journal called him one of the best analysts. Barron's called him one of the best analysts. If you were good back then, you went on CNBC. It wasn't like today where there's like thousands of people with crazy predictions. And people used to look at that and say, wow, he's on TV, he's on Louis Rukeyser, and he must be good. And it was about the individual investor. And today, the financial newsletter industry kind of lost its way. Today it's more about big promotions. It's about hiring political figures or CIA guys and paying them a lot of money and having these big promos out and this whole entire stage thing, right? Where it's not really about the individual investor anymore. It's about making these crazy promises, and what happens after that? Well, the financial newsletter publisher makes a fortune. The popular figurehead makes a fortune. And the individual investor gets smoked in their investments because you're probably buying into a trend like now, marijuana, which you should be selling at the top of the market. I mean, it's a cyclical market right now. I mean, we were talking about it 2014. People want to buy into it now because it's popular. It's usually the worst time. But the individual investors are getting crushed. And how do I know that? It's because I travel the world. I talk to investors. I'm out in the field. It's kind of amazing when I look at the financial newsletter industry today to back then. And for me, I wanted to make a big change because when I look at our largest competitors who I respect and I work for, a lot of them have been kicked off the advertising networks where they can't market on Facebook anymore. They can't market on Google anymore. So hundreds of millions of people they can't market because their promotions were so aggressive. So 2 years ago, I set out to change it, to disrupt the industry, and I created Curzio Research. And within our first 18 months, we're off to a pretty good start. So we generate over 6 million sales in our first 6 months, and we only have 25,000 names on our list. Now, to put that in perspective, our largest competitor generated $1.3 billion last year, the financial newsletter business, which is over 200 times our revenue. And they have millions, if not tens of millions of names on their list. Let's put in perspective even further. And I promise this is going to be the only slide with numbers on it, because when I see numbers, I want to fall asleep. I'm not going to put you to sleep, I promise. But just like anyone out there that has their own business, just like me, you know every number, everything that goes on. You should. If you don't, you're probably going to go bankrupt. These are two important metrics for us. One of them is revenue per name, which is revenue per subscriber. The industry standard is around $12. Ours, thus far, is $122, 12 times greater. Return on ad spending, very important, right, when it comes to marketing. Day one, you want to see a 70% ROI, return on investment. If you see that, you're able to scale your promotion and market even further. For us, it's over 100%. Then when we go to 30 days on ad spending, the gold standard is break even. So what you want to do is you want to spend $1 in 30 days, you want to get $1 back and get the guy on the platform, because if he likes you, he's probably going to subscribe to your products and be a long-term client forever. Our return on ad spend after day 30 is 1,500%. Every dollar we spend, we make $1,500 for right now. Granted, I'll give it to you. These 25,000 names are people that follow me for a long time. So they were going to subscribe no matter what I sold to, because they believe in me and they've been doing this for 20 years. But even if you cut that in half or by 70%, you could see the massive numbers in this business, which I'm not too sure of. I mean, how many newsletter subscribers, any newsletter? Can you raise your hand? Yeah, most of you. The newsletter industry is the most scalable, high-margin, profitable business on the planet by far. It really is amazing. It's a great business. And when I look at these numbers, it gets me excited. It makes me want to scale our operations even more. So how do we generate those numbers? We did something absolutely crazy, disruptive, something that you would never believe. We started providing free stuff to our clients, free newsletters, just getting them to our platform. And it's crazy because that seems so natural, but when you have a product that may not be that good, there's always a high-pressure sale behind it. But if you look at a company called Dollar Shave Club, they disrupted the entire industry Gillette owned for how many years? And they offered their razor for $1. Why did they do that? They lose money on it because they know once you try it, you're going to subscribe to their service because their razor is that much better. So after you did that, every month after, they charge you $9.95 a month. Again, against Gillette, a 100-year-old company, $100 billion in sales, a little company like this. A couple of years ago, what happened? They sold their operation for $1 billion to Unilever. It's pretty good. So we know that offering free content, getting people to our site, they stay and they want to buy our products. Some of our free stuff is our Wall Street Unplugged podcast, which I host. I've been hosting for 10 years. It's been downloaded over 7 million times, over 120 countries. So they get to listen to us, to hear us, to see us. Talking Stocks Over a Beer is another podcast created by Michael Alkin, who I recently hired. Great analyst in the hedge fund industry for over 20 years. And we also have something called the Weekly Breakdown, because there's so much noise out there, where we take all the stories and condense them to like 7 or 8 that are interesting, and we send them to people. This way you get to know us a little bit better. Now, once you're a subscriber, what does that mean? It means you get to see us, boots on the ground. I'm here at this conference. I see Marin in the back. Marin goes to his conferences. Me and Marin have taken tons of trips together. Nick Hodge is another one that's in the field. A lot of people aren't, but they see our boots on the ground. Northern Dynasty just came up here. Marin and I were at that site in 2015 before anyone knew it even existed, talking about that stock, which is incredible. We got it at 40 cents and went to $3. We made our clients a ton of money. We're always in the field. That's how you find the best ideas, not by just sitting behind a desk. You're gonna find ideas you won't find anywhere else. I'm humbled that I have a big following of people that I'm able to interview for 10 years, professionals, billionaires, leading doctors across the world, which is pretty cool. And I can tell you, if you're a CEO of a corporation, you talk to other CEOs, you talk to other people, you get lots of ideas, not so much about your industry, but just ideas in general. And we pride ourselves in that, getting to trends early. We deliver on our promises. If we think something's gonna go up 1,000%, we mean it. We don't lie, we don't bullshit you. Excuse my language. And more important is we invest in our own ideas. Think about that for a minute. Because the next promotion you get that somebody tells you that you're gonna generate 5,000% in 6 months, that editor is not allowed to invest in that idea. So if you had an idea that was gonna go up 5,000%, would you give it to somebody or would you invest in it yourself? For us, we invest in our ideas. If we lose money or if you lose money, we're losing money. So everything we sell, we stand behind, and that's resulted in a lot of more people coming to our products and a lot of people buying our research because it's original. And that's the key to our industry, having original content and getting it to trends early. Taking it to the next level. We want to scale this business, and we're looking to do a financing and raise $15 million. Why? I showed you the numbers. To build our list and better compete. We want to create more products. The contacts that we have in the industry, I have hedge fund guys that hate the hedge fund industry that want to write for newsletters. We already hired one. A lot more people to hire as we grow. Having great contacts in this industry, being in it for over 25 years. And great talent within the industry has come to us. They want to work for us. They believe in our brand, which is pretty cool, again, and humbling. This will put us on par with our competitors, which our competitors, again, who I respect, we know all each other in the industry, but there's nothing proprietary that they have. It's not like Oracle and Microsoft. It's not like they have patents. They just have a bigger list. That's all they have. So it's a matter of marketing. We have our IT set up, our system set up. We have a team already built that has over 100 years of industry experience combined already in place. And when we do this financing, we're going to do something original. We're going to do it through a security token. It's going to be called Curzio Equity Owners. It's going to be the first ever security token of an existing company that's going to give you an equity stake in my business. And we're also going to pay a dividend. There's no one in the financial newsletter industry that's doing this, and there's nobody that I know in the industry that's going to do this. There's going to be a ton of security tokens coming out. It's going to be a monster industry. Before I get to Curzio Equity Owners, I want to talk to you a little bit about the security token market. So when you look at security tokens, any of you familiar with cryptocurrencies? The cryptocurrency market, just curious, how many of you own a cryptocurrency right now? Okay. The chances are it's going to be worth zero in 12 months. I hate to tell you. I don't know if you know this, but the current industry is utility tokens. Utility tokens do not offer you an equity stake in the company. It's not backed by any assets. What does that mean? It means if they sign 100 deals with the top 100 companies, if Microsoft comes over and buys them for $50 billion, you know what you get? Nothing. You're not an equity holder. A lot of people don't know that. So when you're looking at these security tokens, which the SEC came out and said, or the utility tokens, the SEC came out and said that they're going to deem everything as security. Once they do, these guys aren't going to be able to be compliant. And they took their money, what did? They kept it in cryptocurrencies. They raised $10 million on an idea on a cocktail napkin. They kept it in Bitcoin, Ethereum, which is down 60%. So 60% of that money is gone. They have Lamborghinis and houses. If they register with the SEC, all of this, they have to know where every single dollar went. So a lot of this industry is going to be in big trouble. Now, it's not the entire industry. Because if you look at the top 25 coins, it represents more than 90% of the industry. And there's a few outside that offer good value. But as a token holder, remember that it's almost like if you're familiar with Chuck E. Cheese or if you're familiar with Dave & Buster's. It's a token. It allows you to play the game, allows you to use their services on a website. Dave & Buster's or Chuck E. Cheese opens up 1 million shops. It's worth nothing to you. Maybe you go to a couple more places that you can go, but there's no equity value. Security tokens changes that landscape. They're going to be similar to stocks. They can be backed by assets. You get equity stakes. You can get dividends, and not promises of dividends of companies that don't even exist yet or when they're profitable 10, 15 years from now. There's going to be no middlemen involved. What does that mean? The Goldman Sachs. What is Goldman Sachs? What is Morgan Stanley? They know a lot of rich people. And what do? Well, they get the first-hand look at deals, and they say, hey, deal maker, here's our clients, give us 6%. And 6% of the shares. Today, it's different. With these security tokens, you go directly to the investor. You have social media, you have the internet, you can go directly to sources. When you look at liquidity, it provides liquidity. It's tokenization of assets that are illiquid, like real estate, art, collectibles. So if someone has a Babe Ruth rookie card, they could sell off 10% of it to individual investors and hold it for 20 years. If you own a building, or real estate, or your money's gonna be tied up for a long time, you could sell 10% of it to investors and tokenize it. So individual investors for the first time could get into trends, could get into different things, could get into different assets, like social media, when the venture capitalists are getting into it. When they were buying Facebook 5 years before you heard of it. Because the IPO, when the IPO comes out and you're excited to buy it, that's their selling event. That's their liquidity event. That's them selling it to you, getting out, making their profits. It's no longer. It's going to be level playing field. It's also going to provide liquidity for investors. Because if I did a regular private placement, we're a private company, the liquidity event for investors, meaning when you can cash out, is if I get acquired or if we go through an IPO route. And the average time period is about 7 to 10 years. For investors, this token will trade a year from now, which means you'll be able to trade it, which is much better for investors when it comes to a liquidity event. The security token market is by far the greatest opportunity I've seen in my career. That might not mean a lot to you because you see that in tons of promotions. For me, I take that very seriously. Someone's been in this business for 25 years. For someone that prides themselves on getting my clients into trends early, hopping on oil rigs all through America, largest shale areas. Talk about shale oil, 2010, 2011, getting into Pioneer EOG Resources. I was there when Chambers, CEO of Cisco, made his speech about IoT, saying 13 billion devices are going to be connected. I thought he was crazy in 2011, 12. Turns out to be he was very conservative. Talking about marijuana in 2014 when the first state got approved, which is Colorado. Last year at this conference, I gave you 3 stocks that were going to benefit from cryptocurrencies and blockchain. Think where the market is from then until now and how many things crashed. One of those stocks I gave you was Square. It was at $40. We took profits at 100. Now it's around 75. Took some profits. And I also gave you Red Hat. I don't know if you heard, Red Hat got bought today at a 65% premium from IBM. This is the kind of research that I do, that our company does, getting out in the field and providing you ideas before you're going to hear about them in mainstream media. And it's not just me that's saying this. And Polymath just created a huge platform where you can invest in STOs. And they create a lot of behind the scenes, all the software behind it. They say security tokens will be a $2 trillion market. I think that's going to be conservative in 10 years. The NASDAQ's creating their own security token exchange. Daniel Pinto, co-president JP Morgan, tokenization of the economy is real. And we're talking about over $200 trillion in assets that has the potential to be tokenized. If you want some more proof, you guys can see that. This is recent. I mean, guys, this is happening now. This isn't stories I'm just pulling. This is just maybe a dozen of hundreds of stories. And me being in this industry and just the last 4 months really digging in and talking to professionals. I mean, you look at Overstock T0, creating a platform. They canceled the ICO platform because they know that industry's dead. And they're going to create an STO platform. And they just launched their token recently, which is a preferred token. I think it pays interest. Coinbase, you're probably familiar with, one of the largest, trades the largest 4 cryptocurrencies. Just took over 3 different companies, and they're going to start trading security tokens. Fidelity, 7 trillion assets under management. Creating a digital platform. Templin Markets, September 2018. So they issued these Aspen coins. So each token represents a share in the St. Regis Aspen Resort. So it's happening now. They're selling off part of their assets, and individual investors for the first time can access this stuff, which I think is amazing. Open Finance creating their platform. Next month, they just got a huge investment for venture capital. Tons of venture capital is coming into this industry right now. Tons of hedge funds are investing into this industry. MedTech. This is a Swiss VC firm launching an STO platform focusing on medical devices, life sciences, digital health, all assets, guys. It's not just real estate, not just collectibles, not just businesses. It's everything. This is a game-changing market that you have the opportunity to get into. And one of the ways to play it is through Curzio Equity Owners, which is going to be our security token. You can get 3 things. You can have a direct equity stake in our business, which is pretty cool. You're not going to have that anyplace else. All the newsletters that you have that you own, you don't have that. Yeah, it's great. You follow. You're going to have an equity stake in this business. We're going to pay you 3% annual dividend for the first 3 years, guaranteed. Think about that for a minute, guaranteed. I mean, another token, security token, anything, 3% guaranteed we're going to give you. That's how much confidence we have in this. We're going to give you a free lifetime membership for the members who sign up to this, which means you're going to get all current Curzio Research newsletters, which we have 5 paid products right now, and everything we offer forever for free, with no maintenance, no nothing. And it's for my lifetime, which I could lose a couple of pounds, but I'm hoping I'll be around for a little bit, at least. The terms of this deal, it's going to be a $25,000 minimum. It's a Reg D filing. It's going to be available to accredited investors. Now, I created Curzio Research to bring Wall Street to Main Street. But there's still regulations, very vague right now. It's going to come out in this industry. And for us, this is the way we have to do it. We want to be by the book. We want to be transparent as possible. And if you're not an accredited investor, it's cool because you can buy this when it comes out 12 months from now. That's going to be the lockup period. We're going to have a limited supply of tokens, which, by the way, for all of you that own your tokens right now, these utility tokens, do me a favor, go on coinmarketcap.com. You're going to see the market cap, and it's going to say the current supply of your token. It might say 200 million, 300 million. Look at the total supply. It's going to be $1 billion or $2 billion, which means if that goes higher, the insider is going to be dumping this. and you still don't have an equity stake in these things. So just be very, very careful. I don't want to see you guys lose your money. If Bitcoin goes to 50,000 in a couple of weeks, all these things are probably going to go higher. But just be careful, because even if they go higher, you don't have an equity stake in that token. Our payment methods, and this is rare. Bitcoin, Ethereum are common, but you're going to be able to invest in this in fiat, US dollar, which makes it easier. Because when you're targeting investors, especially credit investors, it could be complicated creating a cryptocurrency account, copying an address, and if you copy the wrong address, you lose a lot of money. So offering that option as well. And insiders like me and our company are going to be locked up for 2 years, a full year longer than you. Why is that? Because we're not looking, or I'm not looking, to make money tomorrow. And this is something I truly believe in. And this is an industry that I think could be very, very big. This is something I'm in for the long term. So we're going to be locked up much longer than you, and it's something that we plan to do for the next 10, 15 years. Projected use of capital. So about 15% is going to go to legal, regulatory, general administrative, but the legal landscape, when the SEC does come out in this industry, and we hear it's going to be in around 6 months, they're going to regulate it, which is great. And we want to be fully transparent, but it could be just like a stock. And if it is, we're going to have to hire compliance departments. We're going to report to our shareholders all the time, every 3 months anyway, give you an update on our business, how we're growing it, what we're doing, who we're hiring, advisors to our company. But it could be pretty crazy. I mean, it could be to the point where, you know, it's exactly like a stock, and sometimes that could be millions of dollars in regulation with lawyer fees and everything. So we just want to be careful. We have 40% that's going to go to marketing and list building, what I talked about today. But look at the blue part. So the blue part, 40% is going to be for a new STO fund that we're going to create to invest directly into security tokens. Why is that? Because the top people that I sent this deal to, and by the way, it's most likely going to be the terms, but we're still working on it. But almost every person I sent this deal to, not to invest in it, but just to say, hey guys, I want you to take a look at this. I know it's a new industry. Let me get your feedback. A lot of them want to create security tokens now, including one person who's kind of a mentor, who is the largest independent bond fund manager, manages pretty close to $15 billion, said this is something that he'd love to do, and offer a debt instrument through security tokens, where you don't want to go through the Goldman Sachs, you don't want to go the whole route, where you have all these middlemen collecting fees, going through, I mean, the costs to go public are incredible these days. This offers a much better alternative, and being first to the market is going to give us an opportunity to see a lot of these deals in their very early stages. And that's something that we're excited about. Are there risks? Absolutely. I talked about the regulatory risks, right? The SEC hasn't regulated this industry, but they did say that almost every token is going to be deemed a security. We're going to see over the next 6 months a big change. You're going to see a lot of these ICOs probably not trade. If you have a Kraken account or a Binance account, you're seeing companies removing themselves from that site right now because they're not compliant. And you're probably getting emails, because every time that happens, they're going to send you emails whether you own that token or not. They've been very vague about the rules so far, but again, from our sources, it's going to be around the next 6 months, and we want to be fully compliant, fully transparent. Liquidity. Right now, there's no exchanges, but there is one coming up. It's going to launch this month, and we expect dozens to be launched over the next 6 to 18 months. But for our token in 12 months, we're using a company called Securitize, one of the biggest in the industry, to build our platform, where they guarantee liquidity through a company called Bancor. So we know that we're going to be trading, we're going to have liquidity for this token, which is important. Not only that, over the 12-month period, we get to negotiate with these exchanges. This way you guys could have much more liquidity. And then we have the normal risks, right? We're going up against huge competitors. Even after this capital raise, they have tons of money. I mean, first to the market. If you look at the biggest companies in the world, I mean, they disrupted the first to the market, but I mean, is there a risk you lose money? Absolutely. And I have to tell you, I don't know if it's going to look like I'm going to be a genius or an idiot yet, but I'm very, very confident on this. So much so that I'm putting my entire company based on this idea, and I'm putting my entire reputation on it. That's how confident I am in this industry. So if I'm wrong, yes, you could lose your money. But if I'm right, it's not going to offer you 10 times gains or 20 times gains, but it really has a potential where you can get in this market early enough where it could be life-changing. And that's one of the things that has me excited. So guys, that's it for my time. If you want any information, anything else on this, frank@curzioresearch.com. Just send me an email. We plan on launching this thing in about a month. And I'm going to make a promise that for the first week that we do launch this in the capital raising stage, that it's going to be open only to individual investors before we go to any outside investors or to funds. So to get on that list, just email me, frank@curzioresearch.com, and we'll keep you guys updated. Thank you very much.